Karen white lady who's like, well, there's a lot of US trained people who are not getting the jobs because they're sending all these Koreans over here. Actually, there's not enough US trained or highly educated Americans that can do those jobs. White Karen, saying that these illegal people came over, stole jobs from Americans, also said these Korean companies are just coming to the US to open these buildings and to just get a tax break and tax cuts, but they're not hiring US workers. I think I'm pretty qualified to talk about how that's very inaccurate.
22 additional South Korean sponsored or funded projects inside the United States are now at risk of being canceled, all thanks to the Republican congressional candidate Tory Bauman. She wanted to be a racist white Karen and now is going to cost tens of thousands of Americans their jobs, including the 8,000 positions that were slated to open in her hometown when this facility was fully built out. Additionally, they're saying that there will be positions at the Carrollton factory that Hyundai has operational that will be canceled, like I said. But all total, 22 additional South Korean companies or businesses that were in the process of being planned or built have now stopped all the production. Everything related to those facilities has been put on pause, and this was all part of the tariff deal between the White House and South Korea.
South Korea is pulling out faster than your boyfriend who failed health class. If you're wondering how South Korean citizens feel about the Chunky Milk administration, well, here's one of their photos. You don't remember, South Korea had a plant for LG and Hyundai that was down in Georgia. ICE came and they detained about 475 people and deported about 300 of those people back to South Korea. South Korea, rightfully so, not trusting the United States to actually get their citizens home safely, chartered their own flight to bring those people home. And then South Korea released a statement and they said, well, this is regrettable. And remember what I said, when people say regrettable in business, that typically means things are about to change. Which brings us to today. So South Korea has officially announced that they are going to be hesitant on investments with the United States. They're pulling out, girl. Some of these investments are from when Biden was president, because South Korea never agreed to a deal with the United States. And Howard Lutnick had to admit that on national television.
Well, the Koreans didn't sign when the president was in, right?
And then people are acting like, oh, we didn't see this coming. We didn't see this coming. And then Chunky Milk had the nerve to get on Truth Social and be like, oh, but we need you. We need your workers. They shouldn't be afraid to come here and train American citizens so that way they can take over the jobs once you guys leave. You need them? You need them? Girl, you treated these people like they were criminals. And all they did was come here to try and invest in the United States of America. This is wild. This is wild. But South Korea, I don't blame you. Go ahead and pull all them investments out.
We don't want to hear shit when you lose your Medicaid. We don't want to hear shit when you lose your SNAP. We don't want to hear shit from those states when FEMA doesn't show up for your tornadoes, hurricanes, and floods this year. We don't want to hear shit when you figure out that those tax breaks are not for you, but they're for the rich.
Republicans did the dumbest thing in the world. South Korea is our ally, and they went into a Hyundai plant and they arrested 475 South Koreans who were here without the proper paperwork. Are you kidding me? Do we want Hyundai to leave the United States and go to another country? This is automobile manufacturing, which Trump wants.
South Korea just put a $350 billion investment package into the United States on hold because of the ICE raid on a Hyundai plant in Georgia, where ICE agents arrested 470 South Koreans and deported them back to South Korea. Many were here on legal visas, just not the right visas. Others were undocumented and working illegally. The package of $350 billion was supposed to support energy and semiconductor industries in the United States. Investments needed because of the severe tariffs that put a dent in these industries. Now the South Korean president is saying they're not giving up the money until they get assurances that this will never happen again as far as immigration raiding businesses and deporting employees back to South Korea or perhaps any country. Why this matters is because immigration is now colliding with global investment and trade policy. And now many foreigners and countries may not want to invest in the United States. Certainly South Korea doesn't.
Hello guys and welcome to the Joe Report, where we get an outsider's view, then insider's clarity. South Korea is quietly backing away from US manufacturing, and many Americans don't even realize how deep this problem runs. EV factories, semiconductor plants, and battery facilities that were supposed to bring tens of thousands of jobs to states like Georgia, Alabama, and Tennessee are now being delayed, scaled back, or outright cancelled. But this isn't just about money or market conditions, it's about trust and how that trust was broken. Before we proceed, all credit goes to the creators of these videos. Let's watch a few more clips and I'll be back with more commentary.
Allegedly, South Korea is going to be pulling billions of investments following the ICE raid at their Georgia Hyundai plant.
Where I'm from in Clarksville, Tennessee, we have two major manufacturing plants. We have Hankook Tires, we have LG. What makes me qualified to talk about this? Well, my ex-wife worked at the LG manufacturing plant for about 2 years. My best friend's wife worked as a production manager for that LG manufacturing plant. She's also one of the people that was sent over to Korea for a few weeks. They sent all the managers that they hired, all the American managers that they hired for that manufacturing plant in Tennessee, they sent them to South Korea, learn to train. A lot of these families, usually it's the husbands working at these manufacturing plants, they can't just leave their families in Korea and then just come here to work 6 months to a year by themselves. They usually send the whole family so they can at least be able to get production up and running. They get stipend. They have a place to live. They don't get paid under the table. They don't get paid low wages. They actually get paid pretty well for the jobs that they do because they're pretty high up in the company. They're not entry-level positions that they're bringing over. They're usually engineer, product supervisors, health and safety supervisors. Again, they don't plan to stay longer than 6 months to a year unless they necessarily have to. They bring in engineers, managers, or technicians who already know the system to train US employees. They also set up the machines, make sure production runs at a global standard that the company wants it to run because again, it's a Korean company. But then of course, the idea is that they transition to more US workers. That is the goal. So like these mega projects, Hyundai LG battery plant in Georgia, they rely on Korean specialists for initial setup and training.
Everyone talks about tariffs, trade wars, and political instability as reasons why global investors are losing confidence in the United States. And yes, the trade policies did damage. Rising tariffs and constant uncertainty have made foreign investors nervous. But there's another factor, one that doesn't get discussed enough, and it reveals a much deeper problem. A turning point wasn't just economic, it was personal. A few months ago, at a Hyundai-linked factory in Georgia, a white female employee reported a group of South Korean workers to authorities. These Korean engineers had flown into the United States legally on work visas. Their job, to train American workers on new manufacturing equipment, the very technology that was supposed to make US factories competitive again. Instead of being welcomed as partners, they were reported to immigration authorities and detained by ICE. To Korean companies, this wasn't just an immigration mishap. They came to invest billions, transfer technology, and build up local economies, only to watch their own staff treated like criminals. That single moment spread through South Korean business circles like wildfire. Suddenly, the question shifted from is America profitable to is America even safe to do business with? And that's when the hesitation began. Because let's be clear, South Korean companies have options. If the US doesn't want to act like a respectful partner, there are plenty of other countries, from Mexico to India to Eastern Europe, rolling out the red carpet without the political drama or xenophobic backlash. Meanwhile, America keeps shooting itself in the foot. Politicians beg foreign manufacturers to come in, offering tax breaks and subsidies. The next year, anti-immigration rhetoric spikes and foreign workers get detained. How can anyone build a long-term strategy under those conditions? This is why projects are now being quietly paused. Battery plants that were once hyped in press conferences are now under review. Semiconductor expansions are being delayed. Even joint ventures between South Korean companies and US automakers, which were supposed to define the future of electric vehicles, are slowing down. And the impact will be felt most in the very communities that believe these factories will save them. Rural counties in Georgia, Alabama, and Tennessee were promised thousands of jobs tied to Korean investments, all expecting a manufacturing boom. And now, many of those promises are evaporating before they even materialize. It's not just economic loss, it's reputational damage. The United States can't claim to be a leader in advanced manufacturing if global companies no longer feel welcome. It can't compete with China or Europe in electric vehicles or semiconductor production if its own policies, both political and cultural, scare away the very partners it needs. Some Americans still believe foreign companies should feel privileged just to enter the US market, but that mindset is outdated. The world has changed. Korea doesn't need America. If anything, America needs Korea, especially in tech, batteries, and automotive development. South Korea isn't living because of one tariff or one policy change. They're living because they see the writing on the wall. Unstable government, weaponized immigration enforcement, and a population that sometimes treats allies like enemies. No company wants to risk billions in a country where one election or one angry employee can turn corporation into crisis. America is at a crossroads. It can either recognize how fragile investor relationships really are, or it can continue to act like foreign investment is guaranteed, because it's not. And once those factories go to Mexico, Canada, or Eastern Europe instead, they won't be coming back. So the real question isn't, why is South Korea pulling out? The question is, did America push them away? And if that's the case, how many more partners will leave before the United States finally realizes that economic power isn't just built on factories and money, it's built on trust? So what do you all think? What happens when America becomes a country investors no longer trust? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. I would love to keep this discussion going. Otherwise, that's it from me. I also have another video specifically tailored for you. And if you enjoy such kind of content, please click up here and enjoy. Also, consider subscribing, liking and sharing because it helps me grow my channel and helps YouTube recommend this video to a wider audience. But for now, thank you so much for watching. And until the next time, the Joy Report out.